In the beginning, was there ever something more than humans? Islamic tradition tells us that on Wednesday Allah created the angels. On Thursday, however, the jinn came into being. The jinn were a mighty race of people who were created from smokeless fire. The mighty jinn lived on the earth for over 1,000 years, but pride would be their downfall. Allah sent the angels to battle the infidel jinn. When all but a few were defeated, humans were created on Friday. What is a jinn? Depending on belief systems, a jinn is a creature of extraordinary abilities who was created by Allah. There are those, however, who believe jinn are simply magical creatures and do not associate them with a creation story. Inside Islamic tradition, the jinn are referenced in two different ways. The first is that they are known to be the opposite of al and s, which is something that maintains a shape. This means it is impossible for a human to detect them with their sensory organs. However, this classification does not just apply to jinn. It also applies to angels and demons. According to the rule, all demons and angels are jinn, but not all jinn are angels or demons. The second way in which jinn are perceived is as an invisible entity that were created from smokeless fire. These creatures are known to have similar motivations and needs to that of humans. They also eat and drink and have the ability to give birth. They are also subject to a life cycle, although they were able to live much longer than humans. Although they were mostly similar to humans, they were known to be much faster and stronger. Additionally, the jinn were able to be believers or non-believers and were subject to being judged to go to heaven or hell. Did humans interact with jinn? Although the majority of humans were not able to see jinn, unless they chose to be seen, there were a few notable figures in history who are known to have the ability to communicate with these creatures. Islamic tradition tells us that Muhammad, the last prophet of Allah, was sent as a prophet not only to human communities, but to the jinn as well. There were also other prophets and messengers that were sent to jinn communities so that they could know Allah and have salvation through him. Surah 72 in the Quran is devoted to the explanation of the jinn and their existence on earth. It also tells of Iblis, the Islamic equivalent of Satan, who is thought to be a jinn. Another Islamic prophet, who also appears in Christianity, who was known to have interaction with the jinn was King Solomon. King Solomon ruled over ancient Israel and was thought to be one of the most wise men in the world. Islamic tradition tells us that he was also a prophet who was given the ability to speak with animals and jinn. In addition to being able to speak with jinn, King Solomon also had control over rebellious jinn. Legend says that this ability gave him the power to make rebellious jinn build the first temple and allowed him to learn cures for illnesses that were inflicted on humans by jinn. The creation of jinn. Records tell us that the race of jinn were created on a Thursday, the day after angels were created. These jinn are said to be created either out of a mix of fire or from smokeless fire. There are some who take these interpretations quite literally. However, there are also others who believe the meaning could be more figurative. In modern day, there have been those who speculate that the smokeless fire that is spoken of in Surah 72 could actually refer to a type of energy. This would explain why the jinn had a longer lifespan than humans and were undetectable to the human eye. Regardless of what the reference in Surah 72 means, it is known that the jinn lived for thousands of years before the humans were created. However, there were problems that concerned Allah. The jinn had chosen to become prideful beings who thought they were greater than Allah. Their world became subjected to corruption and there was much injustice. Allah tried to send warnings to the jinn, but all of these warnings were ignored. Allah fights the jinn. With all of his warnings ignored by the prideful jinn, Allah had no choice but to send his angels to fight the infidel jinn and cleanse the earth. When the battle had ended, all but a few of the evil jinn had been destroyed. At this time, Allah decided to make the race of man. Humans were created on a Friday, thousands of years later, out of clay from the earth. When Allah had finished creating humans, He showed His creation to all of the angels and jinn and ordered that they bow before the first man, Adam. It was at this time that another problem arose. Iblis, although most of the jinn and angels were obedient, one that was named Iblis refused to bow before Adam. He argued with Allah and said that because he was made from smokeless fire instead of clay, he was far more superior to humans and should not be forced to bow to them. Because of his arrogance, Allah banished Iblis from heaven and condemned him to hell. Iblis accepted his fate, but asked that he might be spared until Judgment Day so that he could tempt humans from the path of righteousness and lead them to the same fate that would eventually befall him. Allah granted this, but did not give Iblis power over humans. Instead, if they were to be led from the righteous path, it would have to be because of their own temptations and transgressions. There is some debate over whether Iblis is an angel or a jinn. Many people claim that Iblis is, without a doubt, a jinn. This is partially because of the rule of thumb, all angels are jinn but not all jinn are angels. However, it is also because of the fact that Iblis is known to have disobeyed Allah. Angels are not able to be disobedient, so it only makes sense that it was a jinn that disobeyed. Types of jinn. Though there are technically several different types of beings that exist within the jinn definition, it is also important to note that the jinn have several subspecies of their own. It is unknown if the distinctions are created to differentiate between good and evil jinn or actual races inside the jinn group. It is thought that the truth is likely a combination of both answers. Surah 72 tells us there are 3 different types of jinn that exist. There are also references to other types of jinn in ancient texts. Modern interpretations of jinn. Although the jinn were widely accepted in early cultures, the modern-day perspective on these beings has changed quite significantly. There are those who still believe in the jinn as literal being and those who think the creatures may have more of a metaphorical implication. Despite the recognition of the jinn by Islamic traditions, there are also scholars who do not believe in the existence of jinn at all.